Yes, you guys, welcome back. Today I've got on a very special guest, an esteemed company, Man City fan channel. I'm sure you guys know him. Steven, man, how you doing? How are you feeling about the upcoming game this Saturday? I'm sure as a City fan, your season's been absolutely unreal so far, and I'm assuming that you feel like silverware's entitled at this point in time. So how confident do you feel for the game on Saturday?
Do you know what, mate? And I'm not saying this to be dismissive, but I've not even thought about it because we've had so many games. Like last night, obviously, was huge, and then we've had. We're just looking now ahead to a run of fixtures, which is where like Chelsea game's big, but we've literally got a final the weekend after, and we've had a semi-final today, which obviously you know about as well.
Yeah.
And then we've got the Premier League title that we still need to wrap up. So it's one of those things where I thought about it, but like I don't want to be too football coachy. Like next game matters, but when we're doing what we're doing and we're making videos and all that kind of stuff, you're just piling through the games, and it's been so busy for City that I've not really sat and thought about other than knowing that it's going to be a difficult game because obviously Chelsea improved under Thomas Tuchel. So like, I'm buoyed, obviously, by City last night because City were fantastic. And obviously, as we're recording this, we just come off City beating Dortmund in the quarterfinals, which for City fans, not for you guys, but for us, it's a big deal because we've had a torrid time in this competition. So this feels like a big moment for us, which definitely gives us a little bit of confidence going into this game, and rightfully so. We should be confident because right now and it's not controversial to take, we are the best team in the country, so we should feel confident, and we know that we have the players that can damage anyone. So I'm fingers crossed for me.
Yeah, and I need to ask you, with the season Man City are having, what have been the main differences that have produced such like consistent footballs, so many consistent wins, and so many great performances consistently throughout the squad as well?
There's so many, as with ever with football, there's so many things to unpack, and it's never usually just one thing. It's we like to be reductive when we're talking about football in general, not us, but people just. It's always like, oh, this player's changed everything, and it's no, it's never. But in general, it's always a combination of a billion factors, and I'll point to a few of them. I mean, last season, weird season. The whole obviously the COVID world just rocked the season upside down. City was still poor before that, of course. Anyway, Vincent Kompany leaving, there was a massive leadership-sized hole in our team, and it was weird last year. We didn't really replace that. Guardiola didn't seem fully there last season either. He personal reasons, he lost his mum, which was awful as well. But before that anyway, Guardiola, he said that the players had earned his respect at the start of the season prior, and he wasn't going to be quite as hard on them anymore because they'd earned his respect. And he definitely changed that tact at the start of the season. He found his mojo again, and I feel like he maybe. And it was the right thing to do to trust the players, but I think if anything, maybe he might have softened down a little bit too much on them. And this year, he's been whipping them back into shape. And obviously, the signing of Diaz filled that company hole for us. He's been absolutely huge. And our form was still kind of sketchy up until Diaz came, and that feels like a big thing. And I guess there's also probably a few home truths for a few of the players as well who were underperforming last year, which was allowed. You're allowed an off season every now and then. Even aside with City's resources, will have an off season. But last season, we were underperforming. And it carried on to the start of this season as well, and at one point we looked miles off, and I do think it was a collective effort. But everyone, sometimes you do need a round table discussion. Sometimes you need to sit in the dressing room, get your head together, and sometimes you need a little bit of luck, man. You need a performance or two. You just need to see what changes. In the Diaz factor, Pep realizing, and he said after one game that he realized quite early on in the season our performances were too slow. No, if anything, actually they were too rushed. Like we weren't controlled enough on the ball. And I think that was the David Silva factor. Like the pauser, which is obviously the term where a player puts his foot on the ball and slows it down. So David Silva not being there at the start, a lack of leadership at the start, maybe Pep being too soft the previous seasons, and maybe a little bit of rot setting in. And I think it was a case where something clicked again, and we changed the system a little bit. Diaz had an insane impact, and a player can do that sometimes. But more than that, Rodri settled, Cancelo settled. We found a way to play without David Silva. Gundogan found his own space in this team. Lots of little stories that all added up together to find a City side that felt comfortable in their own skin. And I guess City also, once playing in front of, literally no fans there, no jokes for everyone watching, fuck those jokes. But literally playing in front of such a sterile atmosphere, literally nothing there. It became a training ground. And if there's any team that will thrive in a really clinical environment because it's meticulous and because it's metronomic, it's probably Manchester City. And we are hard to play against, especially when you remove the away factor. It becomes even harder to play against us because there's no leveler. So I think all these factors, and I know I've been waffling for a bit there, I feel like they only start to scratch the surface of what made Man City City so successful this season so far. Touch wood.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of food for thought there. What you're saying about the squad harmony, I think that's definitely evident on show with Man City this season, and just the whole thing with new signings needing more time to acclimatise to the Premier League. I think sometimes you sign a lot of guys from Europe and they get judged very harshly too quickly based on one season, but testament to players like Cancelo, for example. Last season, people, what the TL was like, not rating him. This year, really showing what he's really about and why Man City invested so much money into him. So, of course, it's nice to see nice to hear how you guys have, of course, improved this season and what to expect. The massive impact that Diaz has had in your back line. But I think maybe one thing that this game might be dominated by, of course, on Saturday, is going to be the battle between Guardiola and Tuchel. Both managers have a pretty similar philosophy in regards to how to play, and of course you can imagine that both managers have some pretty impressive tactical schemes up their sleeves. So now that we have Tuchel as our manager, do you feel like this could provide one of your most interesting threats this season?
Yes, to put it simply, you're a better side than you were. You're a better side than you were a few months ago. You've obviously got a structure. You've got a manager who's confident as well, and that doesn't play into him. But he's got that kind of cocksure swag over young Guardiola. You can tell he believes in himself, and you can tell he's come in and made an impact on these players. I mean, you've got work to do, of course, still. Guardiola had work to do for his first season, but I do think Guardiola will be taking him seriously. Guardiola, with all due respect to Frank Lampard, I think Tuchel's on another level in terms of a tactician. I do believe that. I think he's got, literally has a better pedigree. And I do think Chelsea, in looking at your form, I'm just going through it now because once again I pay more attention to Manchester City, but obviously everyone knows that Chelsea have improved overall. You're getting more out of players now than you were previously. And I mean, at the end of the day, that's a really simple way of looking at football. But if a manager can come and do that, you've got a better chance. And I've got no doubt there'll be a tactical surprise or two for one of these managers. And be same for Tuchel. He'll be thinking, how do we? Obviously, you've been playing back three quite a lot. He'll be thinking, how do we nullify the fluidity? How do we nullify De Bruyne and Foden and Mahrez and Bernardo? All these, they move almost like symbiotically. Like they genuinely, it's great to watch as a Manchester City fan. But having said that, you never know which Manchester City side is going to turn up, because predicting a team for me right now is just difficult. Because once again, City have final coming up. We've got a big game against Villa, especially we're fine in the league, but you never know, that Leeds game could throw some doubt there, and you don't want to lose 3 games in a row. So Villa becomes a big game, and so we've got that, and we've got the fact that we've just played, and I don't even know who Manchester City will start. So it's one of those things where it could be Jesus, it could be more traditional, it could be Mahrez drops off and Sterling comes back into the team, and then you've got a little bit of space potentially for Sterling to run into, given the fact that you play wing backs, and there's loads of potential things like how does Mau who do we play someone like Fernandinho to try and follow him out a little bit or something like that, And
I'm curious too as well, exactly, could this be a game where maybe it becomes a battle of the false nines? I mean, when you guys beat us 3-1 earlier this season, that's when De Bruyne kind of made his first game playing in that role, and that was one of the major reasons behind why you guys defeated us that day, because just having him dropping into midfields, was constantly giving you an option behind our midfield lines, being that extra man as well to just provide the link up too. And as we're seeing with Tuchel ourselves, this has been a system he's relied upon with using Mason Mount and Kai Havertz there currently too. So I feel like maybe up front this could be an area in which both teams will look to pick the best attack to, of course, try to nullify and create openings against each other. But I wanted to ask you, in your opinion, what other area in the field do you think could be dominated tactically? What type of battles do you see coming in the game? What type of areas do you think Guardiola may look to try and exploit us? And what's like some of your best strengths that really makes you feel confident for Saturday?
One thing that we've got an awful lot better over the past few months, once again, is just it's the build up, it's the moving the balls through the lines and all that kind of stuff. And Zinchenko was key in the Dortmund game. Guardiola said after the first leg that he was really disappointed with City's transitions and how we were moving the ball around the pitch, and it's the reason why Cancelo was out of the team, because he had a couple of poor games. He obviously trusts Kyle Walker's pace. Rightfully so, because why wouldn't you? Defensively, Kyle Walker's rock solid. But you brought Zinchenko back in, because I was looking at you look at involvement in attacking moves. after Rodri's on the ball all the time, is Zinchenko. Zinchenko has more touches involved in attacking plays and building up and transitioning the ball, and working the ball at the pitch than anyone. So I wouldn't be surprised if Zinchenko is involved again for that reason. Then probably drops him out against Villa, but I think he'll be involved because Chelsea are good at this as well, and Guardiola will be very aware of this. And I wouldn't be surprised once again if City do to attempt to, I guess, overload on. They'll have I would be surprised if you have a player sat on your three centre backs when we're going forward, and then we'll try and get players moving around because it's an obvious ploy, and it's the kind of formation that Guardiola loves to play against because he gets his brain thinking, man. Guardiola loves to think, and we played against three at the back with Fulham a little bit, and Fulham we did kind of go relatively three at the back as well, so that's not even a crazy thing. I don't think it'll happen simply because I don't think we want to play all three centre backs given the games we've got coming up. But if we didn't have as busy schedule right now, I wouldn't be surprised if City went man for man with the three at the back thing. But now I can't see it. I think we'll play Kyle Walker. It'll become a back three. Kyle Walker will play. And then we'll see Zinchenko essentially dropping into midfield because it's the inverted fullback thing that we see in the club. Zinchenko will be involved, I reckon. Could be Cancelo doing that from the left, admittedly. It's not unreasonable. But I think Kyle Walker will play because we need him to play. I can see him, essentially being a back three with Laporte, probably Diaz and Walker when we've got the ball. Obviously, it'll look like a traditional four when we're in possession. We're out of possession. But I think it will be that. And I think Fernandinho will play as well because he was absolutely excellent. My mind's blanked, man. So many football games recently. He was actually excellent against Leicester. He was brilliant against Leicester. Indeed, a player who's obviously would look up to Fernandinho. His energy was everywhere, and I think he'll play because I think it'll suit him. I think in a game of chess, this game will be. Sometimes you need a warrior, man. Sometimes you do need someone who's a little bit more abrasive, and I think that will suit Fernandinho. So, but then for City, it's just. Who will he play Foden again? He should do. But
another great game against Dortmund, of course. One of the best young players in the world right now. Wouldn't be surprised to see him, but I do feel like we have a bit of a surprise on our hands now that we have Tuchel as our new manager. I feel like that's given us a bit of an advantage when it comes to our recent games. Opposition teams don't know quite how to nullify us to find the best system to go up against how we play. So, I do feel like the bare elements of the game on Saturday could be maybe both managers' systems nullifying each other, and then it just comes down to the players in the field producing the moments, the right times to secure the victory for their teams. So, to end things, I want to ask you, we've heard the strengths, we've heard how your season's been going, why it's been going so well, but what is maybe one weakness that you feel maybe your team does have, if you even feel like City even have a weakness to begin with? For all this talk of false nine, and we're obviously very good at it, we're exceptionally good at it, you do need a fucking striker sometimes, man. Sorry for the language, you just need a guy who can put the ball in the back of the net, and you know that as well, because obviously you've struggled with that, hence why you're playing the false nine. I think it's fair to say, if Aguero was Aguero anymore, but he's not, unfortunately. If Gabriel Jesus had stepped up to the mark and he was banging in goals, and if Timo Werner was scoring the goals that you wanted, any two of those three would be starting week in, week out, and that's just a fact. And it's been hard, even though when obviously we're in all the competitions still, so we score goals, but it's still an Achilles heel of ours, and it's the reason why we're linked to Haaland and Kane and all these kind of players, because sometimes you need a striker in a game with few chances, and it's a cliche for a reason, but honestly those fine margins at the highest level, they are everything. And it could be that you look at City versus Leeds, and we lost that game 29 shots to 2. They scored their 2 shots on target, and City wasted chance after chance after chance, and that a clinical striker involved in that essentially second team for Manchester City, and that's a victory. Everyone forgets that game and we move on. Whereas when you've got a team like City now, when we've got to rotate all these players because we have to, because quite literally we've got no choice given the games coming up, we're going to be rotating possibly players in that who aren't currently massively in form, and if you've got players that are out of form and you haven't still got a bit of a bastard up front, it can become a chore and a bit of a war of attrition, and that's City's weakness. We aren't clinical up front. We have players who can score goals, but they go through patches. They go through hot. And Sterling at the moment, for example, would have been great in this game, but he's out of form. His confidence is shot, unfortunately. And Jesus will work, and he'll probably start this game. Jesus, but he's not a guaranteed goal for us. He's a good player, don't get me wrong, but he's not a guaranteed goal. Just to end with things very quickly, your match prediction, your final score for the game on Saturday.
Oh man, let's see what Guardiola says in the press conference before I probably change my prediction. But I'd be stupid not to be confident. And if you were sat in my shoes, you'd be saying, if you were a City fan, you'd be saying the same. You think City would win, and that's not because I think Chelsea are a poor side. Chelsea are clearly quality. It's just I think we are the better side, and
you're
we are further
entitled
ahead.
to say that. Absolutely entitled.
And like
to say
it's true. We are currently our season is literally perfect. I mean, and by that I mean we could not be doing better in any competitions. We are through to everything that we need to be through, and we are probably going to win the league. And so I have to tip my team because we have the credibility, we have the form, and we have the squad, I guess, as well. And obviously you've had some tough games as well. You've had to rotate a little bit. A day's rest might be more helpful for you, but either way, still I think City should be all right. I'm going to say a tough game, a battle, but I'm going to say 2-1 Manchester City.
Okay, cool. And for me, of course, I can't, not on my own channel can I be talking down on my team. And, of course, I feel like we've got a great chance going into the finals. I think that, for me, I'm really looking forward to this game. This, for me, is like the litmus test to really know, how good our season is, what kind of level we are on right now. And it'll give us a great indication about what our chances could be come the end of the season when it comes to silverware. So again, I'm going to be going for a 2-1 win, and I guess we'll find out what happens on Saturday. I'm the EFC, this is Blue Lions TV. I'll catch you guys later with some more videos. Peace.